Talkboxing with Stan is the name of the new series I'm starting. See, if you watched my last video, I announced that I'm done. Not with beatboxing, but just with reactions. You know, I still want to make content, but yeah, I'm done with reactions. If you wonder why, check the video, you'll understand why. And so I proposed some new video concepts or ideas, and also asked you guys, you know, like if you had some ideas. And something that stood out for me was like beatbox discussions. So beatbox discussions is something I'm going to be doing from now. It's a series, and so it's called Talkboxing with Stan. Beatboxing, talkboxing, that's because we're talking about beatboxing, the box, talking about the box. Alright, that being said, let's get into the series. First discussion is going to be a comment of someone who commented on my previous video. Uku, vice champion of Austria, if I'm not mistaken. He commented this comment. Now, there are a couple of topics in this comment that are like discussion worthy, but there is one that kind of like stood out for me. And it's basically him saying that the beatbox scene has moved away from hip-hop spirit and thus became highly political. Before we even get into it, let me try to interpret rightly what he's saying. Basically that we are moving away from hip-hop spirit, what beatboxing actually used to be. And then the part where he mentions like becoming highly political, at first I was not sure what he meant by that, because I mean, at first glance I wouldn't think that there are real politics in our beatbox scene, in our small niche scene. No politics are present, you know, like what does he mean? And so what I think he means there is like, rather like, instead of having like this union feeling that we used to have, you know, like community, all for one, one for all. All for one, one for all. Yeah, now it's rather like a lot of different narratives. And so I think that's what he's trying to say. You know, there's like not this all inclusivity, you know, it's split basically. There are like some people who are really into battle. There's like loop station is now a thing. Online scene, for instance, also like a complete different narrative. Not so popular or popping anymore, but there used to be a time where the online thing was booming. TeamSpeak, Discord, all that good stuff. Yeah. Anyways, what do I think of the statement? Do I agree with this? Basically, short answer, yes, I do agree. I do feel as a beatbox community that we have pivoted or are pivoting still, you know, like moving away from this hip-hop spirit. And let me define the hip-hop spirit, what is meant by that, you know, for some people who are not really like familiar. You know, like beatbox came in the 1970s, I think. 70s, is it? 80s? With Dougie Fresh and stuff, you know. The first big guy to like really like make it popular and stuff. And so the way how it came was as following, you know, people were broke, were very into music, didn't have like money to buy like a drum computer or a drum machine back in the day, the beatbox it was called, you know. And so people started to like make those sounds themselves, you know. And so a whole community got like raised, you know, like created around this to a certain point where, you know, like people were saying like, oh my god, beatbox is like the fifth element of hip-hop, you know, it's rap, breakdance, graffiti, oh my god, why don't I know this? And so it was like really about community, you know, like taking care of each other, having like this place to come together with others and feel at home. And so, yes, I do agree that we are moving away from this. We are pivoting. Now, you know, it's more about battles. It's more about like solo competition in general, actually, you know, like beatboxers trying to like prove ourselves, how good we are, how far we can like push the skill that is beatbox, you know, like we're trying to like really like push it to the limits and stretch it and see what is possible. And so it's not the same objective anymore, you know. And a good example how I like really like found this out to be true for myself, from my own experience, is basically, you know, when I came into the scene 2016 for the first time, I remember going to events and people were like, you know, just jamming for the sake of jamming. Like, good or bad, it didn't matter. I remember like jamming for hours. The feel I got from it was like, I never felt the sense of belongingness I felt as much as I felt in the beatbox scene. It was insane, you know, like, oh my God, like having like beatbox in common with someone else, it's like the most weird niche thing ever, and then doing it for hours, yes. And so now, like the last time I remember when I circle jammed, you know, with other people, it was not about that, you know. It was like, oh my God, okay, you're gonna make rules for the jam, you know, so we don't jam too long. Everyone gets like 4 measures, and you try to show your best skills and techniques to prove yourself, basically, you know. And so that's like a small example, but I really feel it's not about that anymore. And now the question is this a good thing or a bad thing? You know, like, okay, here we are trying to prove ourselves, you know, like trying to push like the limits of beatbox, of solo beatbox, of the capacity of our mouth. See, at first glance, you would think like, yeah, because that's like one side of the coin, you know, like saying like, oh my God, we're moving away from the core true value, what beatbox used to be. And that is true in a certain sense, you know, but at the end of the day, you cannot deny that it also brought other positives with it, you know. For instance, if it was not for competitions and, you know, like this focus that we have on ourselves, probably beatboxing would never become this crazy and skillful. We never would have like discovered the possibilities of our lips, of our tongues, of like the whole thing that we can do now. And it just gets even more and more, you know, like every day, like, I mean, not every day, but every once in a while I keep hearing like new textures, and it doesn't stop. Since 2016, I'm 10 years into the scene now. Still, I hear like oftentimes like people doing textures I've never heard of. Like, how crazy is that? Like, imagine like we never like had that because of like, you know, we were just like focusing on, I mean, see, ideally you would want to have both, you know. But now I do feel also, you know, like to be straight honest, you know, like, yeah, hip hop spirit is like not really like the main focus anymore. It's competition, it's proving ourselves, it's pushing the limits of beatbox, what is actually possible and not, you know. Also with like being loud, you know, the new meta of being loud, that's also like a whole new narrative that's been pushed around, you know, because at the end of the day, like sounding loud, it's like this thing that you realize how important it is when you're in an actual battle, you know. On video, you don't really like notice that, but that's what I'm trying to say. It all goes to this narrative. It's like a smaller narrative in the narrative that's been pushed. And that's what Uku is trying to mention, you know, like the political type of thing, the small party. Everyone is trying to like push in different directions. Online scene was a thing, you know, loop station, you name it, you know. With loop station, what I mean, by the way, is like not just loop station, but like loop station within loop station. So loop station was a thing back in the day, you know, like old school looping.
Jam, fette Beats droppen, wenn schon, denn schon, ey. Genau so sieht es aus. Ich brauche kein Fame, kein Geld, kein Applaus.
And now it's MK2 with cables, Launchpad, producer. I think KBA just literally like for last year's producer category, not 25, 24, when he won, literally like took his computer, his laptop, and put Ableton in it, you know. and so that's what I think Uku is trying to say. Like, it's shifting. And again, is it something bad? In my opinion, it is not. Because see, the way how I see it is, the reason why this is happening at the most deepest level, from my interpretation, what I can make from it is basically like, it's just evolution. We try to seek what's next. Like, that's what we do as human beings. Even like outside of beatbox, you know, like we just wonder like, okay, what's next? How can I do it better? You know, it's been like this since day one, since the Big Bang, if you believe that, or whatever you believe. What I'm trying to say is like, we always go a next step. Humanity, you know, like society, we always move forward. What's the next thing? How can we innovate, you know? And so this happens within like the categories as well, you know? And so is it something bad? In my opinion, not. Let's say we wouldn't have that, you know? Let's say this never would have been a thing. Then I think we would never even have beatbox to begin with, you know? Beatboxing would never be a thing. It'd just be like the actual beatbox, the thing that like produces the sound, you know? It's because people were like, okay, I don't have money back in the day. What do? I'm broke. I mean, my interpretation, you know, before you even judge me, my interpretation of it, we're broke, we don't have money, what do? Oh, okay, just try to do it with my mouth, you know? And now, like, I don't know, 40 years, 50 years later almost, like, yeah, look at us, what we are doing with it. And who knows what's going to happen in 50 years, you know? And I agree that it's like upsetting, or it can feel upsetting, because, you know, like there is something valuable about like keeping like the core of what it used to be. But at the same time, I think we cannot deny that it's a positive thing, that it brings also like new life. But it, you know, like the same with producer loop station, the same with Rage and the cable thing, you know, like, you know, for me, the way how I see it, that's a whole new scene that's growing right now, you know, on its own. And you might like it, you might don't like it. Personally, like on the loop station thing, should I say it? No, you know, different conversation, different discussion, yeah. But yeah, you might like it, you might don't like it, but at the same time, I don't know, for me, it's like, it's just a normal, inevitable thing. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't take away from the fact that it can feel upsetting. Again, like, I completely get it. Maybe one more thing I would like to say is like, ideally, we should keep that community thing, you know, like, as I do acknowledge that, you know, like, new categories grow and new sub niches or new sub communities grow into our community, you know, ideally I hope that we do keep the spirit where more or less we still relate to one bigger thing, you know, and that is like beatbox, you know, like the thing that triggered it, you know, like I do believe at a certain time it will come to a point where it's like really like abstract and far away from each other. Because like imagine like maybe like in 10 years we would have, you know, like no loop station battles, no producer battle, Ableton battles. Imagine that. You just like take your track and, I don't know, rap on top of it and do whatever you want, diss your opponent, wrestle with him, you know, like sword fight him on stage. You know what I'm trying to say. I just hope like we can keep that, you know, because at the end of the day, as long as everything is triggered by the mouth, you know, that's something I'm thinking right on the spot. As long as everything is triggered from the mouth, then I think it can keep a certain element present that brings us and keeps us in touch. That in a nutshell. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I do. I love talking about things like this, and I hope you do too. Let me know what you think. See you in the next one. Take care.